under God's hand, because he was a priest of the Most High God, and Melchizedek was the representative of this order. Now we can't follow this order back from him, and until David prophesies in Psalm 110:4, we can't trace this order forward. It's just like as if it's in some suspension there. But once David writes this psalm, we know that this priesthood is a perpetual priesthood. It continues on. And one day, in the fullness of time, another representative of this order will come and take on this special priestly role. And who will this new representative of this order be? Well, Psalm 110:1, the Lord God said unto my Lord, to Christ, the Messiah. So, it's the same one of whom in Psalm 2:7, the Lord God said, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And who did God say this of? Well, he said it of Christ, didn't he? Both at his baptism, when he entered his high priestly ministry, and at his transfiguration. And so we see these two things tied together. But you say, that's just me tying them together. Well, no, it's not. How do we know that we've got this right? Well, have a look at Hebrews 5 and 6. Because he knew we were going to ask that question. So let's just have a look at it. Hebrews 5 and 6. Right. I'll go to verse 4. And no man taketh this honour, this of being a high priest, unto himself, but he that is called of God, as was Aaron. Right? Aaron was called of God. And so he took the role of high priest. So also Christ glorified not himself to be made an high priest, but he that said unto him, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Right, now where did he say that? In Psalm 2:7 he said, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And he saith also in another place, Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. And so we've got this right. God ties these two together so that we can be absolutely sure that Christ is our high priest, that he is the one after the order of Melchizedek. But is this order of priesthood legitimate? Right? Is it good enough? Well, yes, indeed it is. We know that the Levitical priesthood, encompassing the Aaronic high priesthood, was legitimate and good enough for the type or the allegory. So we'll compare the two orders. We'll compare the order of Melchizedek with the Aaron's order, the Levitical order, and the Levitical high priesthood. And first of all, we find that the order of Melchizedek was first. Right? It was already in place in Abraham's time before Levi had been thought of. Isaac, Levi's grandfather, had not yet been born when we first hear of the order of Melchizedek. But we must remember that God himself put in place the Levitical priesthood. So we know that the Levitical priesthood was legitimate in every way. But who put in place the order of Melchizedek? Well, Genesis 14:18 talks about Melchizedek, and it says, he was a priest of the Most High God. So who put that priesthood in place? The Most High God. And so we find that God had this order put in place, and he was the same God who knew he was going to put the Levitical system in place later. And so God had a plan, as he always does. And so both orders are legitimate, right? But we see that the Levitical order was first, and so this gives it a superiority. We say God put in place the Levitical priesthood, but then God put in place the order of Melchizedek as well. So they're both put in place there. But which order is actually superior? Well, the order of Melchizedek. How do we know? Well, Genesis 14:20 tells us that Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek, and Hebrews 7:1-11 says, "For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings and blessed him, to whom Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that is king of Salem, which is king of peace," Jerusalem means peace, "without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth the priest continually. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils. And verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. But he whose descent is not counted from them received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed of the better. And here men that die receive tithes, but there he receiveth them, of whom it is witness that he liveth. And as I may say, Levi also, who receiveth tithes, paid tithes in Abraham, for he was yet in the loins of his father when Melchizedek met him. If therefore perfection were by the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should arise after the order of Melchizedek, and not be called after the order of Aaron? For the priesthood being changed, there is of necessity a change also of the law. So we see Abraham paid tithes to Melchizedek, and Hebrews tells us that the lesser pays tithes to the greater. Abraham, as the representative of his offspring, including Levi and Aaron, paid tithes to Melchizedek. And so the Aaronic priesthood paid tithes to the Melchizedek priesthood. So the Levitical order of priesthood paid tithes in Abraham to the order of Melchizedek, so the order of Melchizedek is superior. And Hebrews 7:1-11 goes a lot of trouble to tell us that. And then the order of Melchizedek is superior because it is eternal. Psalm 110:4 says, "Thou art a priest forever." Hebrews 7:22-25 tells us Christ is this priest. Hebrews 7:22-25. By so much was Jesus made a surety of a better testament, that they truly were many priests, because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death. But this man, because he continueth ever, hath an unchangeable priesthood, wherefore he is able to save them to the uttermost that come unto him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them. Right. So the order of Melchizedek is superior again because it is eternal. Under the Levitical priesthood, the high priest would get old and die, and his son would take over until he got old and he died. It was a physical priesthood and really a type or allegory of what was needed. When Christ came after the order of Melchizedek, he was the fulfillment of all that was promised by the Levitical priesthood. So once again we see that the order of Melchizedek is superior. And then we see that the order of Melchizedek is superior because it doesn't have to bring a new sacrifice every year. Under the Levitical priesthood, the blood had to be shed year after the year, the 10th day of the 7th month, the Day of Atonement. The high priest would see the accumulated blood on the mercy seat and know that his job was never finished. For hundreds of years the blood was sprinkled